One of the most common questions that I get goes something like, I'm running out of time on this section or on this test. What can I do to speed up so that I can finish the section? And the answer to that question is complex. It depends on what section we're looking at, the way you're approaching the questions, among other things. But there's one general tip that I can give you that you may not have thought about before, a factor that affects how much time you have to actually do work to answer questions. And that is, how much time are you spending bubbling in your answers, right? You have to, when you go from your test booklet, of course, transfer your answers to a bubble sheet. That takes time, and it's not time that can be ignored. It's not negligible. So to prove this to you, I'm going to pretend to fill in. You'll see a video in a second. I'm going to fill in the answers to a 35 question SAT grammar section, just one after the other. And we're going to have a timer on screen to see how much time it takes me to bubble in those answers. So let's go ahead and do that. So as you just saw, it took me 2 minutes and 6 seconds, or 126 seconds total, to fill in those answer bubbles. Now, divide that by 35 questions, and you're looking at approximately 3.6 seconds per question. That's like a rough estimate. Anywhere from 3 to 4 seconds per question, I think, is a good guess. So if this takes me 3 seconds or 4 seconds to fill in a bubble for each question, how much time then are we losing on each of these sections bubbling in? It's on the low end for, say, a 20 question math section. It's only about 1 minute and 12 seconds. To the upper end for the ACT English, where you're losing a whopping 4.5 minutes at a minimum, I think, bubbling in your answers. And of course, these times don't include some other factors that could lengthen the time it takes you to bubble in. For example, if you have to erase an answer and change it, that takes time. If you skip questions and then you have to figure out, all right, I skipped 16, so I got to bubble this in for 17, and then maybe you make a mistake, so you got to erase it and change it, right? That could slow you down. Other inefficiencies, so for example, you have to do the question in the book, turn to the answer bubble paper, find the bubble paper, find the number, bubble it in, go back to the book, find where you were, and reorient yourself to doing another question. There's a certain time lag there as well that wasn't accounted for in my little experiment. And then finally, if you're doing SAT math, the grid-ins. If you have to grid in your answer, it takes more time. You got to write it in the top, you got to bubble in each number, you got to make sure you bubbled it in correctly. It's a big time waste. So what is the tip? What is the solution? Here's the tip. Whenever you do timed sections or tests for practice, use a bubble sheet. You have to, number one, get used to bubbling in, but number two, you have to get used to losing that minute or 2 minutes or whatever when you're doing that section. So that you're not spending 25 minutes, for example, in a math section, just working through all the questions and circling the answers in the book. You're getting extra time, really, than what you'll actually get on test day. And that could affect you, right? Think about how valuable 2 minutes or 3 minutes can be to you towards the end of a section. Pretty valuable. If you're not practicing bubbling that in, you are deluding yourself. You are not getting the full simulated experience of what it's going to be like on test day. So to help you out with this, I've cropped, the answer sheets for the SAT and for the ACT, and I believe the subject tests as well. I'm going to put them in the description of this video, a link to them. So download those, print those out. They also usually come with copies in the blue book or in the red book you can use when you're doing tests, but use these when you're doing timed sections. If you're just doing untimed problems, you're just messing around, it's fine. You're only worrying about getting the problem. You don't really worry about the time. But whenever you worry about time, you got to use these bubble sheets. To learn more about Reason Prep's SAT, SAT subject test, and ACT video courses, go to reasonprep.com/enroll, and you can find the link in the description below the video.